Greetings, Benjamin J. from Ben's Trains with another in the series. Well, this is a grand experiment. As you know, that two Santa Fe showed up yesterday, the A and B unit. The A unit was rusted so bad the motor was literally turning to powder. The B unit was crushed, and found out that happened in shipping. So I got a full refund on both of them today, and the guy told me to keep them. So in any case, the Santa Fe motor was beyond repair. So I stripped it for parts, put all the parts aside. So I took the shell and modified a standard Marx double reduction motor and mounted it just like I mounted it in the 6000 dummy that I built. I took a micro motor and mounted it in the 6000 dummy to power it by using a central pivot, a bolt that goes through the body and comes out the top. So this is really crude, but this is the first experiment. So I took a set of original wheels, ground the stud, what was left of the stud, completely off, and there's almost no clearance here now. The original motor used much smaller wheels. But in any case, this is just an experiment to see if I can actually power this Santa Fe shell. So this is the first test. I just put this together. First trip around the rail. Let's see how this goes. Standard double reduction motor mounted in a Marx Santa Fe 1095. Oh, might help if I turn the power on. All right, here goes. All right, it seems to work. Crude, but it has a motor in it that is running. Now I've just got that motor mounted in there with that bolt sticking through the top, and I'm using the adapter hooked directly over the rear axle. So I have nothing tightened down yet. This is just a quick experiment. Let it go around. I'll take it off the rail, show you how I did this. All right, let's stop it there. Move the camera out of the way. Pull this off the rail. Take off the adapter, put it down here. Now, I'll show you how I did this. This is really crude, but it was just a way to try to mount a motor in here. The hole, of course, was already in the body. That's where the original screw went to mount the original motor. And there it is, as you see. So I used a standard double reduction motor, as you see. And then using epoxy putty, I epoxied this bolt directly to the top of the coil. And that acts as the mounting point and the pivot. Now the original motor is much larger than this. And it has a steel flange that's welded to the back plate that comes up and makes a 90-degree turn. And that's where it pivots. There's no way to mount it on this motor because it's much too large. And you have to break it off the other motor and re-weld it or drill a hole or for screws or find some way to mount it. Anyway, this was just an expedient. I just wanted to see if this was actually going to work. So far, so good. So I epoxied that bolt on there. Just use epoxy putty, as you see. Let me zoom out here. And I drop over a plastic washer as a spacer, a large metal washer as a bearing point. Then the body slides on, you center it on the hole, add this washer, and add a nut. Now I've been using two to keep this nut locked in one specific tightness. And I need a nylock nut. And so in the meantime, I'm just using two. One acts as a jam nut, of course, to keep that fairly tight. And then just tighten this up, snug it. And as you see, the motor can pivot on that bolt. And so far so good, it works. That's a bit tight. I think I'll have to loosen a bit. And like I said, I need a nylock so I can tighten this and have it stay a specific tightness. Let's try this again. Just snug this a bit. That's a bit better. All right, and there is no coupler on it, as you see, yet. So I'm just using the adapter that slides over the rear axle. So put the adapter back on, put this back on the rail. Now this is clunky at best, but it is a way to mount a motor in this Santa Fe shell. As you see, like I said, these wheels are much larger than the original. So I was going to try swapping the wheels, but the gear pattern is completely different. So in any case, it's just an expedient at best and a grand experiment, but it worked, and it did allow me to at least power this whole shell. So I was going to swap the trucks and turn this into a dummy. And I thought, why not try to put a motor in it? And this is exactly how I mounted that micro motor in the 6000 dummy, the exact same way. And so I put a micro motor in place of the rear truck on a Marx 6000 dummy, and it worked. And this works just as well. It runs forward only, of course, but you can turn the locomotive backwards. And I put a coupler on either end, and I've got basically a switcher. But in this case, it was just a test to see if I could get this thing up and running and power it. And it seems to work. It's far from perfect, but it is running. That's the neat thing about it. So I've got to figure out the way to make that pivot smoothly and stay tight. If it gets too loose, it really rubs on the side of the body when it turns, because these wheels are much larger than the original ones. So there's not a whole lot of room in there for that motor. Anyway, just a quick experiment. It worked. And I can just chop this off and put a nice finished nut up there. Very likely I'll put a nylock nut. If I leave this in here, I have no idea. But it went from being an absolute piece of junk to a running locomotive. Is it perfect? No, it sure isn't. Is it correct? Nope, not that either. But it's running. That's the thing. So what I may do is grind these wheels down a bit on the surface grinder to reduce their thickness just a bit. Give me a bit more room inside this shell. It's pretty tight on the turns. And anyway, just a quick experiment to see if this would work. And it does. Clunky, yes, but at least it is a running locomotive, if nothing else. So I'll probably be playing with this the rest of the evening. But again, it is running, and that's the neat thing about it. Far from perfect, but it's up and running, no doubt about that. So it originally cost me $1.25 plus the shipping. I got the full refund today, so I figured I had absolutely nothing to lose doing some experiments on this shell. It was free. But as you see, it works. Clunky, yes, but it works. Double reduction motor. Once this is finished, put a vinyl traction tire on this. It should pull and consist on the layout. It's going to be an interesting experiment. Anyway, I just want to do a quick video to demonstrate, as I always stress, don't overlook the junk. And if you have time to experiment, you can fix almost anything. Far from perfect, but it went from being an absolute derelict, rusted hulk to now at least being a powered locomotive. Far from perfect, but it's running. So in any case, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email, benstrains@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.